Am I the a-hole for reducing my parents' allowance by whatever amount they share with my siblings? My parents live in a less developed country than I do. My siblings and I all live in North America or Europe. When I got my new job, I did my budget and saw that I could send home roughly $1,300 a month without it affecting my personal comfort. I would still be able to save for my future and my mom and dad could retire. So when I was home, I set up a joint account for us. That way I could see as they needed more and make sure that they were not getting scammed or anything. After about a year and a half, I started noticing that there was a $200 transfer every month. I asked them about it and they said he was having difficulties with his budget, so they were helping him out. My brother doesn't need help. He is a scholarship student. He actually receives a stipend from my home government to study abroad. What he wants is money to party. So I reduced the amount I give them by $200. Obviously, they do not need it if they can afford to give it away every month. My mom called me when she noticed and was yelling at me for being a crappy daughter and sister. I asked her to tell me exactly how much money they contributed to my party fund when I was away for school. Just so you know, the answer is $0. They also tried to talk me out of attending university in Canada. I'm not sure how common the idea of filial piety is in other cultures, but it's a big deal in mine. She went off about it. I told her that they didn't need the money and I had better ways to spend $200 than to gift it to my brother so he could get drunk with his friends more. She said that I am treating them like children by restricting how they spend their money. I replied that I was not going to subsidize my brother through them, and that from now on the amount they got from me would be $1,100, and that if they sent him money again I would know and reduce their money by that amount going forward. My brother called me to bitch me out about cutting off his money from our parents. I said that I hadn't. He was welcome to tell our parents to go back to backbreaking jobs at their age to pay for his partying in London. Then they would have my money to live off of and their wages to pay for his drinking. My boyfriend is on my side, as are many of my friends. Most of my family and people from my culture think I am being an a-hole. However, for the last 2 months my parents have only been spending on themselves.
Not the a-hole. And since your parents probably don't tell you often enough, I'll say it for them. You are an amazingly thoughtful, loving, and caring child to your parents. You send them upwards of $1,000 every month just so they can retire and not have to work. That's amazing. You are also reducing the amount you give them as a preventative measure to make sure they don't get taken advantage of by a spoiled son. If they give $200 now without consequences, it would eventually increase to $300, then $400, then $500, and so on and so forth. You set a boundary that will help your parents to keep their money for themselves so they can continue to remain retired and not spread themselves too thin.
Not the a-hole. If you wanted to give your brother $200 a month, you could send it direct. You don't have to give your parents money to make an end run so that you're giving your brother the $200. I agree with your logic. If they're sending $200 a month to brother, that's money they don't actually need from you. The total effect is that you stopped giving brother $200 a month.
Not the a-hole. They don't want to be treated like children but will gladly take a monthly allowance from you. An allowance they wouldn't have if you had listened to them and accepted their lack of support. I doubt your brother will send them money when he gets a job, so they have a choice to make. Keep giving him money they claim to need or use the money so they can have an easier retirement.
Not the a-hole. Your parents are lucky and should be grateful to have your financial support. If this escalates, I would stick to your plan of cutting down more. I know it's hard to hear when your culture is big on family, but putting boundaries is okay and you're doing the right thing.
Am I the a-hole for demanding my husband allow our daughter to go on a graduation trip and prioritize her friends over visiting his family, and paying for the trip against his wishes? Background info. My husband is named Brad, Valerie is our daughter who is in 8th grade, and Denise is Brad's sister. Main story. Valerie's school hosts a New York trip for graduating 8th grade. It's in late June, but the deadline to register for the trip and pay the fee is in 2 weeks. The problem is the date conflicts with the out-of-state trip we take every 2 years to visit Denise and Brad's parents. Brad's argument is that Valerie's at an age where the friendships she has now will most likely fade by the time she's an adult, and Denise and her grandparents are family. So she's going to regret it and realize what he's insisting on now is the right choice. The thing is that Valerie isn't particularly close with Denise or her grandparents on Brad's side, and she's told me that she doesn't want to visit her family on Brad's side if it means missing her graduation trip this year, and it won't be the same as if she went to New York as an adult. I argued my side with Brad and that Valerie will simply resent the trip to Brad's family if it means missing her graduation trip, as well as that we're all in good health and can reasonably expect that everyone will still be here when we visit again in 2 years. Brad is still insisting that Valerie will realize when she's older that spending time with her family is the right choice and will be thankful for it when she's an adult. Me and Brad are still on opposing sides, and I have told him that I am going to sign off on Valerie's graduation trip and pay the fee out of my own savings regardless of what he says. Am I in the wrong for putting my foot down and making sure our daughter gets to go on this trip against Brad's wishes? Valerie has already missed so many experiences and didn't even get a 5th grade graduation because of COVID. She's worked so hard this year to improve her grades to be allowed on this trip, and I feel we need to make up for those lost events as much as possible.
Not the a-hole, Valerie deserves to go on this trip. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that she's going to treasure forever. So what if she won't remain friends with her current friend group? They're still part of her story, and she's always going to have memories with them. And if you pull her off this trip, then that's just going to drive a wedge before she even gets to college. Your in-laws aren't going anywhere, and your daughter barely has a bond with them due to the distance. Plus, this is a semi-annual trip, and like you said, she'll see them again in 2 years when you guys go again. Your daughter is aging and she's going to start making her own decisions soon. Your husband won't be able to control her for much longer. Does he really want to drive a wedge in their relationship by prohibiting her from going?
Unless money is an issue, the family trip can be pushed back a week or 2. I am failing to see any reason why it has to be the same weekend, bearing money issues.
Not the a-hole going to New York as a kid is. Way different from going as an adult. Everything will seem so big, new, and special for her, and she'll make memories for when she's an adult so she can go back and feel nostalgic. And just cause she's young doesn't mean she'll lose her friends. I still have friends from the 4th grade that I talk to daily.
I am assuming that effort is made by Brad's family to visit you on the off year. I mean, if family is so important but only seen biannually, something doesn't add up. It's important that your daughter makes memories and builds confidence going out in the world. Send her to New York, and no, not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. Brad is looking at this from an adult perspective, but that's totally different from a child's. The family trip is the right choice for him. Valerie's graduation trip is the right choice for her. The best Brad can hope for is your daughter grudgingly telling him she knows why he made her go when she's a fair bit older. That does not mean she will agree with him or not resent him for making her miss out on a fun trip with her friends to a very exciting city. He thinks he's helping her make the right choice. It is only right from his perspective. His daughter has missed out on a load of experiences because of the recent situation, and it would be hugely unfair to make her miss this one as well. Also, this trip was known about, and your daughter worked hard on her grades so she would get to go on this trip. It would be a betrayal of her if she didn't get to go, and I feel it would leave her relationship with her father in a place that he really doesn't want it to be.
Not the a-hole. She will not grow up and regret taking a trip to New York with her 8th grade class over a trip to visit family. Your husband is being ridiculous. What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.